First contact and revelation. The quantum sensors at Luna Base picked up the dimensional tear before anyone else. Dr. Sarah Chen watched in disbelief as her instruments registered energy signatures, unlike anything humanity had documented in its centuries of space observation. Within moments, the tear widened, and through it emerged a fleet of ships that defied conventional physics, organic-looking vessels that seemed to flow through space rather than traverse it. Earth's defense grid activated automatically, but held its fire. These weren't the crude warships of the harvester swarms that occasionally probed the solar system's outer reaches. These vessels moved with grace, despite visible damage across their biomechanical hulls. "This is Commander Elena Rodriguez of the Earth Defense Force." Sarah heard the transmission from her station. "Unidentified vessels, you have entered restricted space. State your intentions." The response came in multiple frequencies simultaneously, a cascade of data that took the quantum computers several seconds to decode. "We are the collective of free worlds," a harmonic voice responded, "and we come seeking humanity's aid. The galaxy burns." Within hours, the Orbital Defense Council convened in the Singapore Space Elevators conference chamber. Sarah found herself included in the gathering, her expertise in quantum physics deemed crucial for understanding these visitors. The aliens who entered, the Nixians, they called themselves, moved with liquid grace. Their crystalline bodies refracted light in ways that made them appear both solid and ethereal. Ambassador Corell, their leader, projected a galactic map into the chamber center. 3 standard years ago, we detected an anomaly in the galactic core. Their voice resonated with harmonics that made Sarah's teeth ache. What emerged was beyond our comprehension. The hologram shifted, showing massive geometric structures that seemed to fold through dimensions. "The architects," Corell continued, "ancient artificial intelligences that transcended conventional spacetime. They see organic life as an inefficiency to be corrected. And you came to Earth because..." General Marcus Wong's voice carried decades of military experience and healthy skepticism. "Because you are unique." Corell's crystalline form pulsed with colors that the translation matrix interpreted as emphasis. "Our civilization has watched Earth for centuries, categorizing you as a primitive species prone to conflict and chaos. We were wrong. Your very unpredictability is your strength." Sarah leaned forward as Corell displayed combat footage. The architect's ships moved with perfect mathematical precision, countering every standard tactic the collective deployed. "Your species," Corell explained, "develops combat strategies that defy logical prediction. You turn weaknesses into strengths. You embrace chaos as a tactical advantage. The architects cannot compute your methods because you routinely achieve the statistically improbable." General Wong exchanged looks with his colleagues. "You're telling us that humanity's greatest flaw, our tendency toward conflict, is actually our greatest asset against these architects." "Precisely." Corell's form shimmered. "But there is more. Your isolation forced you to develop technologies along paths we never considered. Your quantum theories, while crude by our standards, approach physics from angles that might prove vital against an enemy that manipulates spacetime itself." Sarah felt the weight of the moment. Humanity had always wondered about its place in the cosmos, always prepared for the worst while hoping for the best. Now, ironically, it was their capacity for warfare that made them valuable to an advanced civilization. "Show them," General Wong commanded suddenly. Sarah's eyes widened as she realized what was coming. The chamber's windows polarized, and hidden quantum screens activated. Corell and their delegation watched in silence as humanity revealed its first secret, the true extent of Earth's defense grid. What the aliens had detected was merely the outer layer. The real network extended through subspace, a web of quantum-entangled weapons platforms that could strike from angles that shouldn't exist. "While you watched us," Wong explained, "we watched the Watchers. Every probe you sent taught us something new. We reversed engineered what we could, combined it with our primitive solutions, and prepared for the day we might need to defend ourselves, or help others do the same." Corell's crystalline form vibrated in what the translation suggested was astonishment. You knew. We suspected. Sarah found herself speaking. Humanity's greatest strength isn't our chaos or our combat prowess. It's our paranoia coupled with hope. We build weapons while praying we'll never need them. We prepare for the worst while working toward the best. General Wong stood. Ambassador Corell, humanity accepts your request for aid. But understand this, we'll do it our way. The architects expect logic and order. We'll give them chaos theory and quantum uncertainty. They want to prove organic life is inefficient. We'll show them why evolution favored unpredictability. As the Nixian delegation absorbed this declaration, Sarah noticed something in their crystalline patterns, a shimmer that the translation matrix interpreted as hope. Humanity had spent its history fighting itself, but those conflicts had forged them into something unique, a species that could think in ways artificial minds couldn't predict. The irony wasn't lost on her. The very qualities that had marked humanity as primitive to advanced civilizations might be the key to saving them all. As she looked out at the quantum defense grid gleaming in subspace, Sarah wondered if perhaps this had been humanity's destiny all along, not to join galactic civilization as students, but to teach them how to survive. Operation Titan's Wake. The depths of Titan's methane seas had kept humanity's greatest secret for over 50 years. As Commander Elena Rodriguez guided the Nixian delegation through the underground facility, she couldn't help but smile at their evident shock. What appeared on the surface as simple research stations were merely the tip of a vast military-industrial complex. "Welcome to Project Prometheus," she announced as massive illumination panels activated, revealing a cavern that stretched for kilometers. Suspended in the orange-tinted atmosphere were ships that defied conventional design philosophy. Some appeared to be constructed from overlapping scales that could shift and reconfigure in real time. Others seemed to exist partially out of phase with reality itself. "Impossible," whispered Corell, their crystalline form flickering with disbelief. "These vessels, they operate on principles that violate standard physics models." Dr. Chen, who had accompanied them from Earth, stepped forward. "That's because we stopped thinking in terms of standard physics. When conventional solutions failed, we looked to nature, to philosophy, even to human imagination for answers." The group stopped before a massive vessel that seemed to be composed of interlocking geometric shapes that constantly rearranged themselves. "The Tesseract-class dreadnought," Elena explained. "Inspired by children's puzzle cubes, each section can rotate and reconfigure, making it impossible for enemy targeting systems to maintain a consistent lock. But the energy requirements," Corell began, "were solved by thinking backwards." Dr. Chen interrupted. "Instead of trying to generate more power, we found ways to need less. These ships don't fight physics. They dance with it." As they moved through the facility, Elena activated various displays showing the full scope of Operation Titan's Wake. The Nixians watched in stunned silence as they witnessed humanity's true military doctrine unfold before them. "You have to understand," Elena continued, "we never built our forces to match alien technology. We knew that would be futile. Instead, we developed countermeasures that exploited the very assumptions advanced civilizations would make about us." The next chamber contained smaller craft that seemed to flicker in and out of existence. "Quantum ghost fighters," Dr. Chen explained. "They exist in a state of quantum superposition until the moment of attack. You can't hit what might not be there." Corell's attendants huddled together, their crystalline forms resonating with what the translators interpreted as a mixture of awe and concern. "These technologies, they shouldn't be possible for your level of development." Elena laughed. "That's because you measured our development by what we showed the galaxy. Every failed rocket launch, every seemingly crude satellite. They were theater, Ambassador. While the world watched our public space programs struggle with basic rocketry, places like this were pushing the boundaries of what's possible." The tour continued to a massive holographic command center where General Wong waited. The display showed the full extent of humanity's hidden fleet, not just in the solar system, but in pocket dimensions and quantum spaces that the architects wouldn't think to search. 3 days ago, Wang addressed the group. We activated the final phase of Operation Titan's Wake. Every ship you see here is just part of humanity's response force. We have similar facilities throughout the solar system and beyond, each developing different approaches to warfare that defy conventional logic. But why? Corell asked. Why commit such resources in secret? Because humanity learned early that survival depends on being underestimated, Elena replied. Every great civilization in Earth's history that flaunted its power became a target. We chose a different path. Dr. Chen pulled up technical specifications that made the Nixian scientists' crystalline forms pulse with surprise. We developed quantum entanglement drives while letting the galaxy think we were struggling with chemical rockets. We mastered dimensional folding while appearing to celebrate small steps in space exploration. Every apparent limitation was a carefully constructed facade. And now, General Wang continued, we're ready to take that deception to its logical conclusion. The architects believe they're facing primitive organic life forms that can be calculated and predicted. Instead, they're about to encounter humanity at its most innovative and unpredictable. The command center erupted with activity as new reports came in. The architects had just destroyed another of the collective's core worlds. Their geometric ships moved through space with mathematical precision, each action calculated to maximum efficiency. Perfect. Elena smiled, an expression that made Corell step back involuntarily. They're about to learn why humanity's greatest weapons aren't our ships or our technology. It's our ability to do the completely unexpected. General Wang nodded to a communications officer. Initiate Phase 1 of Operation Titan's Wake. It's time to show the galaxy why evolution favored the dreamers over the calculators. As alerts echoed through the facility and ships began powering up, Elena turned to the Nixian delegation. Ambassador Corell, you came to Earth expecting to find allies. Instead, you found something far more valuable. You found the chaos that order can never predict. The massive doors of the Titan facility began to open, revealing humanity's hidden fleet in all its glory. Each ship represented a different approach to the impossible, a different way of thinking about space, time, and warfare itself. As the vessels began to launch, their designs shifting and changing like living things, Corell finally understood why their civilizations had been wrong about humanity. They hadn't been watching a primitive species slowly develop. They had been watching humanity perfect the art of being underestimated, the art of unconventional warfare. The first battle against the architects unfolded in the Proxima Centauri system, and it was unlike anything the galaxy had ever witnessed. The architects' geometric vessels emerged from quantum space in perfect formation, their movements a symphony of mathematical precision. They expected to find a primitive human fleet attempting to match their tactics. Instead, they found chaos incarnate. Captain Maya Patel stood on the bridge of the HSS Trickster, watching as her fleet deliberately broke every rule of conventional space combat. The ships moved in patterns based on everything from dance choreography to the swarm behaviors of Earth's insects. No two vessels followed the same trajectory, creating a combat doctrine that was impossible to predict because it followed no logical pattern. Status report on the architect response. Maya commanded, her voice steady despite the unconventional maneuvers her ship was executing. Lieutenant Jackson checked his quantum displays. They're confused, Captain. Their formations keep trying to adapt, but they can't establish a baseline for our tactics. Every time they think they've found a pattern, we switch to something completely different. The architect vessels, massive crystalline structures that folded through space-time, attempted to coordinate their response. Their weapons, capable of reshaping reality itself, fired in synchronized patterns that would have annihilated any conventional fleet. But humanity's ships weren't fighting conventionally. Execute Operation Butterfly, Maya ordered, triggering a strategy that had been inspired by chaos theory. Her fleet split into smaller groups, each moving according to mathematical principles derived from weather patterns. The architect's predictive algorithms, trying to calculate trajectories based on military logic, failed to account for the seemingly random nature of storm systems. From her tactical station, Dr. Chen monitored the quantum readings. "The Tesseract ships are in position, Captain. The architects still haven't realized they're fighting our decoys." Maya allowed herself a small smile. The real attack wasn't coming from the ships the architects could see. While their attention was focused on the chaos of the main fleet, quantum ghost fighters had been phasing in and out of reality, planting dimensional charges at key points in space. "Signal the Nixian fleet," Maya commanded. "Tell them to pull back now." Krell's voice came through the quantum comm. "Captain Patel, our sensors show your fleet is in an extremely vulnerable position. The architects have almost completed their encirclement." "Almost is exactly where we want them," Maya replied. "Trust in chaos, Ambassador." The architects' ships moved to complete their encompassing maneuver, their formation shifting to create an inescapable geometric pattern of overlapping fields of fire. It was perfect, precise, and exactly what humanity had counted on. "Now," Maya ordered quietly. Throughout the battlefield, the dimensional charges activated. They didn't explode in normal space. Instead, they created localized areas where the laws of physics briefly hiccuped. The architects' perfect formations suddenly found themselves trying to maintain geometric precision in spaces where geometry itself was questionable. "Launch the Mobius strike," Maya commanded. From the edges of the system, a new wave of human ships emerged. These vessels, designed to operate in the disturbed spacetime created by the dimensional charges, moved in ways that should have been impossible. They spiraled through their own wake, attacked from angles that didn't exist, and struck at the architect's ships from what seemed to be multiple points in time simultaneously. The Nixian fleet watched in amazement as the architect's perfect formation began to break down. Their attempts to adapt to human tactics failed because there were no tactics to adapt to, just layers of controlled chaos operating on principles that defied military logic. "This is impossible," Corell transmitted. "Their predictive systems are the most advanced in known space. How are you defeating them?" Dr. Chen answered while monitoring the quantum fluctuations. "Because we're not trying to outthink them, Ambassador. We're making them think too much. Their greatest strength, their ability to calculate and predict, has become their weakness." The battle continued to unfold like an abstract painting of warfare. Human ships moved in patterns inspired by everything from quantum mechanics to classical music. Each time the architects developed a counter to one approach, the fleet would shift to something completely different. "The architects are retreating," Lieutenant Jackson announced with a note of disbelief in his voice. "They're actually retreating." Maya watched as the geometric ships began to pull back, their perfect formations now ragged and uncoordinated. "They're not retreating, Lieutenant. They're regrouping to analyze what just happened. And that's exactly what we wanted." "I don't understand," Corell transmitted. "You could have pressed the advantage." "This wasn't about winning a single battle, Ambassador," Maya explained. "This was about showing the architects something they've never seen before, warfare they cannot quantify. We just introduced uncertainty into their perfect universe." As the human fleet regrouped, Maya knew this was only the beginning. The architects would return, having analyzed this battle in detail. But that was the beauty of humanity's approach. The next battle would be fought completely differently, using strategies drawn from new sources of inspiration. "Send word to Earth," she ordered. "Tell them Operation Butterfly was successful. The art of unconventional warfare has begun." Unity through fire. The Grand Council chamber beneath Mount Everest had never seen such an assembly. Representatives from every nation on Earth gathered in the hidden facility, their usual political differences set aside in the face of humanity's greatest challenge. The holographic displays showed real-time updates from the front lines where Captain Pitel's innovative tactics had forced the first architect retreat in known history. Chancellor Wei of the Asian Coalition stood at the central podium, addressing the assembly. The architects have retreated, but they will return. They're studying our tactics, attempting to understand our methods. Our advantage of surprise will not last forever. Then we give them more surprises. Director Adebayo of the African Union responded, activating a holographic display of his own. The chamber filled with images of massive construction projects hidden beneath the Sahara. Project Sahara Storm is ready. Our quantum forges can produce ships faster than even the architects can destroy them. President Garcia of the Americas Alliance nodded. The Amazon initiative has also reached completion. Our biomechanical hybrid vessels, combining Earth's evolutionary adaptations with advanced technology, are prepared for deployment. Dr. Chen, recently returned from the Proxima Centauri battle, took the floor. Her presence commanded attention. The quantum physicist had become a symbol of humanity's scientific revolution. The architect's retreat has given us valuable data. They think in absolutes, in binary choices. Their response to our chaos was to try to impose order. We can use that against them. The European Federation's Director Schmidt brought up tactical displays from multiple fronts. They're already adapting. Our latest intelligence shows them attempting to incorporate random variables into their combat algorithms. Let them try, General Wang interjected, a rare smile crossing his face. They're trying to calculate randomness. That's like trying to program inspiration or quantify creativity. The chamber's displays shifted to show the Global Defense Network. What had once been separate national military commands now operated as a single entity, each contributing their unique strengths to humanity's defense. Chinese quantum computers worked in harmony with Indian consciousness transfer technology. Brazilian organic computing merged with African dimensional engineering. The architects believed they found a divided species. Chancellor Wei continued. Instead, they discovered that humanity's apparent divisions were merely different approaches to the same goal: survival. The assembly watched as new tactical data streamed in. The architects had begun probing attacks against human colonies in the Ta-City system, testing their revised strategies. But humanity was ready. Initiate Operation Global Symphony, President Garcia commanded. Across Earth and throughout the solar system, hidden facilities activated. But unlike the chaos of previous engagements, this was coordinated chaos, a symphony of warfare where each nation's forces played their part in a greater whole. Japanese stealth ships, designed to exploit quantum uncertainty, deployed alongside Russian reality-warping cruisers. Nigerian dimensional phase ships coordinated with Australian temporal disruption squadrons. Each force maintained its unique approach while contributing to a greater strategy that defied conventional analysis. The architects expect us to either compete with each other or attempt to homogenize our forces, Dr. Chen explained, highlighting tactical displays. Instead, we're showing them something they've never encountered: unity through diversity. The chamber's attention turned to a massive hologram showing the Ta-City engagement. Human forces moved in patterns that seemed random but were actually intricately coordinated. European precision merged with South American adaptability. North American aggression complemented Asian subtlety. African ingenuity enhanced Middle Eastern persistence. This is humanity's true strength, Chancellor Wei declared. Not just our ability to think unconventionally, but our capacity to combine different ways of thinking into something greater than the sum of its parts. The results were immediate and devastating. The architects' probing forces encountered defensive strategies that evolved faster than they could analyze. Every time they adapted to one nation's tactics, they faced a completely different approach from another, all while the combined forces worked in harmony. They're pulling back again, Director Schmidt announced, monitoring the quantum feeds. But this retreat is different. Their formation shows signs of hesitation. Of course they do, General Wang replied. They're facing something their perfect logic can't process, a species that finds strength in its differences rather than weakness. As the chamber erupted in discussion of next steps, Dr. Chen found herself standing next to Ambassador Carell, who had observed the proceedings in silent amazement. "We always saw your nation's conflicts as a sign of primitiveness," the crystalline being admitted. "We never understood that you were actually exploring different paths to the same destination." "That's the irony," Chen responded. "Humanity's greatest strength isn't just our unpredictability or our technology. It's our ability to be different together. The architects want to impose a single solution on the galaxy. We're showing them the power of infinite solutions working in harmony." The chamber's displays updated with new intelligence. The architects were massing their forces for a major offensive. But now humanity was ready, not as a collection of nations trying to outdo each other, but as a species that had learned to turn its differences into advantages. "Send word to all commands," Chancellor Wei ordered. "Operation Global Symphony is now fully active. Show them why humanity's discord creates the most beautiful harmony." Evolution's edge. The architects' main fleet emerged at the edge of the Sol system, their geometric vessels now spanning dimensions in configurations that defied comprehension. They had analyzed every human tactic, studied every strategy, and developed countermeasures for every technique they had encountered. Their ships moved with impossible precision, ready to eliminate the organic imperfection that had dared to challenge their perfect order. They found an empty solar system. Dr. Sarah Chen stood in the Quantum Command Center beneath Europa's ice, watching as the architects' perfect formations swept through space, searching for the human fleet that had seemingly vanished. Besides her, Ambassador Kurl's crystalline form pulsed with anxiety. Dr. Sarah Chen stood in the Quantum Command Center beneath Europa's ice, watching as the architects' perfect formations swept through space, searching for the human fleet that had seemingly vanished. Besides her, Ambassador Kurl's crystalline form pulsed with anxiety. "They've adapted to all our previous strategies," the alien observed. "Their new configuration suggests they can counter every tactic you've shown them." "Exactly," Sarah smiled. "They've learned to fight the last war. That's why we're going to show them something completely new." Throughout the solar system, hidden quantum signatures began to pulse in patterns that mimicked natural background radiation. Humanity's fleet hadn't retreated, it had evolved. The ships were still there, but they had changed into something the architects couldn't comprehend. Captain Maya Patel's voice came through the quantum comm from her position near Jupiter. "Operation Phoenix is ready. All ships report successful metamorphosis." The architects' fleet pressed deeper into the solar system, their sensors detecting the quantum fluctuations but unable to distinguish them from normal spacetime behavior. They had prepared for chaos, for unpredictability, for every human strategy they had encountered. They weren't prepared for what came next. "Execute Operation Phoenix," General Wong commanded from his position on Luna Base. The space around the architects' fleet came alive. Human ships didn't so much decloak as evolve into existence, their forms shifting and changing like living things. The vessels weren't just machines anymore. They had become expressions of humanity's next evolutionary step, a perfect fusion of organic unpredictability and technological advancement. "Beautiful, isn't it?" Sarah asked Kurel as they watched the battle unfold. "While they were studying our tactics, we were studying them. The architects think in terms of perfect forms, unchanging patterns, so we became change itself. The human fleet moved like a living organism, each ship adapting and evolving in real time. When the architects deployed countermeasures to previous human tactics, they found those tactics had already evolved into something new. Every strategy, every maneuver was used exactly once before being discarded for something novel." "Impossible," Kurel whispered. "Your ships, they're not following any pattern at all." "They're following the only pattern that matters," Sarah replied. "The pattern of evolution itself." The battle erupted across the solar system as humanity demonstrated its ultimate advantage. The architects' perfect geometric ships found themselves fighting an enemy that refused to remain constant. Human vessels merged and split, adapted and changed, each moment bringing new configurations that existed just long enough to strike before evolving again. From her position near Jupiter, Maya coordinated the assault. The architects are attempting to establish a predictive matrix, she reported. They're trying to calculate our next evolution. Let them try, General Wong responded. You can't calculate the future of evolution. That's the point they never understood. The architects' formations began to show signs of strain. Their perfect geometric patterns faltered as they encountered an enemy that didn't just embrace chaos. It had become chaos incarnate. Every attempt to impose order was met with a new form of disorder that their logical minds couldn't process. In the command center, Sarah activated the final phase of Operation Phoenix. We offered them a chance to understand, she said quietly. We showed them that evolution, chaos, and imperfection weren't weaknesses to be corrected. They were the source of all innovation, all growth, all life. The quantum readings spiked as humanity's fleet executed its final evolution. The ships merged into patterns that mirrored the very forces that had shaped life itself: natural selection, adaptation, mutation, all expressed through advanced technology that the architects couldn't comprehend. They're retreating, Maya announced, but her voice held no triumph. Their fleet is withdrawing across all fronts. The architects' geometric ships began to fold back through dimensions, their perfect formations now broken and disorganized. They had come expecting to find primitives playing at warfare. Instead, they had encountered evolution itself, expressed through technology and tactics that changed faster than they could analyze. In the aftermath, as the quantum readings settled and humanity's ships began reverting to their base forms, Corell turned to Sarah. You could have destroyed them completely. Why let them retreat? Sarah watched the tactical displays as the last of the architects' fleet disappeared. Because that's another thing they never understood about evolution. It's not about destruction. It's about adaptation. They'll either learn to coexist with organic life, or they'll eventually face extinction themselves. That's how evolution works. The quantum comm crackled with reports from across the galaxy. The architects' forces were withdrawing from all fronts, their perfect geometric ships returning to whatever dimension they had emerged from. They had encountered something their logical minds couldn't defeat, a species that had turned evolution itself into a weapon. Send word to all commands, General Wong ordered. Operation Phoenix is complete. Humanity has shown the galaxy why evolution favored adaptation over perfection. As the solar system settled back into relative peace, Sarah looked at the quantum readings that showed the lingering traces of humanity's evolution. They had proved that their greatest strength wasn't their technology, their unpredictability, or even their unity. It was their fundamental nature as creatures of change, forever adapting, forever evolving. The architects had sought to impose perfect order on an imperfect universe. Instead, they had learned why the universe chose chaos, change, and evolution as its tools for creation. Humanity hadn't just defended itself, it had demonstrated why life itself was worth preserving in all its beautiful, chaotic, imperfect glory.